Hey everybody, how you doing? Mike Mayock did something that does not surprise me. He went and he got Marcus Mariota, a guy that he has always favored and favored, I thought, shamelessly and racially over Jameis Winston. Yeah, I said it just like that when both were coming out of college for the NFL draft in 2015. And this is somebody that is one of those Mayock picks, which if you're trying to build a team around a person you say is your quarterback, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to do. In fact, I'll go a step further. It makes no sense to do. I'm not saying the Raiders and Mayock and Gruden don't have their own logic. They do. But the reason why, I'm going to say this straight out this way, the reason why the Raiders will not produce a winner as long as Gruden and Mayock continue the kind of personnel decision and scheme decision they exhibit is because they don't understand how to focus. I don't know if they're driven by Mark Davis or what, but with Mark Davis as the owner and John Gruden as the head coach, you cannot sit still as an organization. You can't. You cannot. Hey, Mohammed, how you doing? You cannot sit still as an organization. In other words, they're always looking for the shiny object. Okay, always looking for the shiny object. And in this instance, they are completely different than teams that have went to the Super Bowl. Every team that has went to the Super Bowl more than once, that has built a consistent champion, was known for one quarterback. They were also known for building their team around that quarterback. Well, the Raiders, the minute 2020 NFL free agency opened up, went for a linebacker who's, good grunt kind of player, and then Mariota. They did these picks where I honestly believe that Mike Mayock thinks he's smarter than somebody else when he does these things, but in reality, it's not the case. And I understand that Mayock doesn't do this in a room by himself. He does this in consultation with coaches, but ultimately, the buck stops with him and with Gruden. And getting Mariota in was a big mistake. Why? Because he's going to start. That's why. Marcus Mariota is going to start, but he's not going to lead the Raiders to a championship because the minute the team performance goes south, the minute he gets a little too much, he's going to go into that sulking routine that he started going into 2 years ago that made people talk and say, you know what, this guy is probably better off someplace else. He doesn't really look like he's want for football. Okay. That I've heard, but I haven't heard anything on the contract signing yet. Let me go and check real quick as far as is there's been any update on that Mariota contract. Raiders. There's a lot of searching on that. And he's agreed to terms. NFL.com does not have any information on that as of 9:03 p.m. Or which would be 12:03 p.m. here. They only mentioned Tannehill's $118 million deal. But it basically says here that Mariota will be a well-known backup and a supportive understudy. But look, you don't bring in a guy that is 1 year younger than your starter, 1 inch taller than your starter, and something like 0.3 of a second faster, if not great faster than that, than your starter. Marcus Mariota runs a 4.840, or at least did. Hopefully you still can. Okay. Um, 1 year deal for 10 million. Okay. Uh, Raider P says, okay, now I'll read your comments right now. Muhammad says Mariota is going to start. I agree. Muhammad says he liked him out of college. The Phenom says Carr is on his way out of Vegas. I agree with that. Ansari says, hey there, hi there. Chaos Raider says, did they give the info on the contract signing? I just answered that question. Phenom says, Mayock is an overrated draft guru. Raider P says, I don't think he will start. I heard it's a 1 year deal. Murray says 1 year deal, 10 million, I think. Also need a backup. I don't care that it's a 1 year deal at all. All right. I don't care that it's a 1 year deal because 1 year deals can quickly become longer term contracts. That's not the issue. I will repeat. Marcus Mariota is an inch taller and much faster than Carr. And even though I don't favor him as a choice, there is one thing that Marcus Mariota does exceptionally well other than run. He throws the short pass very well. He has a great short release. The ball comes out and it gets to its target in a hurry. He is excellent for the kind of offense that Gruden runs to a point. Okay. And the point is when Marcus has to throw the mid-range pass, mid-range, he's occasionally off target. If you look at his interceptions, a significant number of them, I would say about 60% have come, with the exception of tips, have come in the mid-range area. And that gets me to another point. Marcus has a tendency to throw that pass that's not scheme oriented. In other words, it's where he actually really did not look and see the zone blitzing linebacker drifting back. Okay. Now, part of that, now I don't blame him entirely for that. I blame the coaches. But my point is, he is put in these places where he'll make that throw rather than run. He is a gifted runner who doesn't use his gift as much. I know John Gruden, Raiders head coach, has been in love with the idea of mobile quarterbacks for some time. And he had Josh Johnson, who's now with the XFL, in for a training camp, but didn't employ him in anything. I asked Coach Gruden on Zenny62 YouTube here at the NFL annual meeting, his first year, Gruden's first year there, if he was going to use Josh Johnson with a read option. And he gave a nod to that possibility, but he didn't completely acknowledge it. He did it. He gave a Gruden-esque answer. Let me get to your more comments before I continue. And Raiders P says, I also read backup. I don't care what you read. That dude is not backing up. Okay? I heard the same thing about Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill is going to be a great backup to Marcus Mariota. We were all in the league saying, oh, yeah, that's going to last for how many games? Okay? Don't be fooled. Okay? Raider P says, when Carr struggles, then he will start. Yeah, but see, therein lay the tale. What does struggling define? Define what that means, okay? Raider P says, I can't see Mariota being Carr for a starting job. I can. Because Marcus can do one thing or two things better than Derek. Marcus throws the short pass better than Derek, and Marcus is more mobile. Okay? When it comes to mid-range passes, he's a bit off target. Deep passes he can throw well when he's able to get himself set. He can be dangerous out of the pocket. All right? But his passes downfield are not of the, how would I say it? They're not of the Patrick Mahomes velocity or range. And Raiders P says, maybe this will light a fire under Carr to play like he did in 2016. But Raider P, come on, man. He played like he did in 2016 because he had a different offensive coordinator, because he had Bill Musgrave. You can't, I don't know why you guys do this, all right? Look, think Bill Musgrave. You can't, I don't know why you guys do this, all right? Look, think. You all are smart. You're human beings. Stop doing that. Please. It drives me nuts when you guys just blithely take a player, all right, and then put him into one offense under another offensive coordinator. Forget that he had that other offensive coordinator and then talk about how well he played, but not pay attention to the plays that were ran and the style of offense that was called. Can I ask, why do you do that? I just want an answer from someone. Why is your brain not on when you do that? And I don't mean to be insulting. It's agonizing. It's hard to have a good conversation about technical football if you all are doing stuff like that. I beg of you, just think, just drop a play or something. I mean, try it. If you're afraid of being wrong, hey, I'm wrong all the time. You know, experimentation in play design gets you the play. But my point is this, Raider P, in a number of instances than John's, because Musgrave better understood the use of space than John does in the design of John's offense. And there I said it. Okay. I'm sorry. You know what's going on with me is I'm getting older. I've seen enough of this stuff. I'm just calling it like I see it. And if somebody says, hey, Zig, you think you can do better? My answer is Y-E-S. Yes. You give me your third string. I will coach your third string, including your quarterback. Let me pick the quarterback. Okay. Design my own plays, run them against your first string defense. My threes will beat your ones and embarrass you in the process. Okay. Because you don't know what I'm going to run. And I know what you're going to run. So my point is that, I'm really hungry to do that because I've seen so much stupid football. It's driving me crazy. It really is. All right. You got Phenom says Carr is a very sensitive person. He hears and sees everything said about him. I doubt he gets any sleep tonight. I wouldn't either. The man says the threat of a mobile quarterback will keep defenses honest. That's what Carr lacks. And see, I'm glad you brought that up because that could easily be designed in by John, but John doesn't do that. And I don't mean the bootlegs. I mean just a roll pass, okay? He doesn't do that. And then Raider Kuko says, I guess my comments are invisible. Let me see. We can go back what you said here, Raider Kuko. Because wait a minute, you haven't put anything down. Okay, Raider Kuko, I'm not allowing that. Now your comments are going to be invisible. You're right. I'm putting you in a timeout. You do that trick. Sorry. Whoops. All right. Let me. Geez. Raider P, I made you a moderator. All right. Raider Kuko, here's the deal. I deleted your message and I put you in a timeout. You do that quick one more time, you're out of here. Okay? You say I missed your comments, like, okay, and I went back and looked for it and the comment's not there. If you're gonna play that kind of game, you're gonna be banned. I don't care what you do. I don't care what kind of username you use. When you display the same behavior, I will ban you on the spot like that. All right. So don't screw around. We have 39 people on here who really have great comments to make, and you're taking up their space. Get out. Now. All right. D Brown says people think different, man. Yeah. Raider P says, I know Musgrave. We should never let go. Exactly. Johnny Rodriguez, how you? He says, Johnny says, Mariota is a beast. He has all the skills. He throws the ball in tight holes and can move better than Carr. I agree. Raider P says, and you're right about Gruden offensive play calling. And Fernando, hey, JD, Jason D, how you doing? Fernando says Carr had a high QB rating due to his high completion rate on passes between 5 and 10 yards. For Fernando, he had a high rating because of the design of the offense. My point is that Mariota can perform even better in that offense. All right. But he can't. Marcus Mariota is a coach killer. He is great enough to get you to wins. Okay. But he is great enough to start. But he is not great enough to get you to the playoffs and win the playoff game and march to the championship. X, Y, and Z. But my point is that was then, but over the last 2 years, when he started doing the sulking routine, I said, you know what? He is not want for the world as a football player. So think about what I'm saying and what I just said. If he's not want as a football player in Tennessee, do you think he's going to come to Oakland to be a backup as opposed to rekindle his, re-energize himself. He's coming to re-energize himself. He is not going to sit there. Every chance he gets, he's going to be looking to kick some butt. Period. End of story. William Sayre says Marcus is going to ball out, folks. He was in a horrible situation. We will see his potential in Vegas. I'm ready to wear black. Chaos Raider says I like the Mariota pickup because Carr felt untouchable too long. Interesting point. Raider P says meaning Carr struggling by starting losing games because of Carr. Understood. Chi says, hey, Chi, how you doing? Says the Raiders wide receivers only show loyalty to the better QB. If Mariota is doing well in practice, Derek Carr is done. 32 Assassin says, sounds familiar. The Phantom says, as a Broncos fan, welcome. Welcome. As a Broncos fan, I see how Gruden's offense gave us so much problems. Man, it's scary. Mariota scares me. 32 Assassin says, do they take a chance on Hurts in the third in the light of this pickup? I think if they take a chance on Hurts and they're so stocked at quarterback, that leads to a great deal of confusion in terms of how you're going to build a champion from a trio in the same year. Okay. If you're looking to build stars to sell tickets, admit that, but I don't see you pulling a winner out of this. I don't. I see a lot of screwing around. Now, 32 Assassin says, do they take a chance on Hurts? Oh, yes, that one. John Akala, how you doing? John says, hello. So now I'm guessing Raiders are going to try to trade Carr. Stay tuned. Raider P says, guess we will see who will support is our starter Carr or Marcus. Raider P, can you try writing that again? What you wrote was, guess we'll see it'll support whoever is our... Oh, I'll support. Guess we will see... What you're saying is this. Guess we will see. I'll support whoever is our starter, Carr or Marcus. It's not a matter of supporting for me. It's a matter of techniques. All right? It's pure out techniques, okay? If John is bringing in Marcus Mariota, my first question right out of the box is, do you intend to bring in elements of the offense that Chip Kelly ran and that Mike Munchak tried to replicate when he brought in Marcus Mariota as his quarterback in 2015? I thought it was a brilliant idea to do that, and they had some success, but it was kind of like a one year wonder. And not only that, they had 8 plays, and once you zeroed in on those 8 plays they were doing, and some of them were by some accounts gimmicky. I don't think they were gimmicky but if you employ them once in a while and they're on obvious down situations, then they become gimmicky. I'm talking about their version of the read option, running quarterbacks, but no passes off of that. If you're going to do that, make a full repertoire of 50 plays and make the defense suffer. But they didn't do that, okay? So Marcus opens up so much promise. He deserves an offensive coordinator that focuses on him and his abilities. But he's going to an organization that, by the fact that they've got Carr and Mariota and whoever the third is going to be, split. All right? You cannot build a champion that way. John Gruden cannot build a champion that way. Straight out, cannot do it. And hey, look, if he does, you can run this again and again and again and make fun of me. Fine. But I'm telling you, it's not happening. So Phantom says, I remember you saying that the Niners could pursue the Falcons tight end if he hit the free agent market, and you were spot on. Yeah, Austin Hooper. That was their idea and the way Phantom, thanks for that, because I got that bit of information that I put out as a video at the NFL Combine with some brothers that sat next to me and just started chopping it up. And these guys were deep insiders, and that's how I got that information. And so I broke a story, and thank you for that. So because Hooper, who's from Stanford, really is a fantastic player. Thank you for remembering that. Joseph Amenderas. Joseph, I just called you, by the way. He says, as I posted on my blog, I do think one of two things Mariota is there to bring Brady or to create a competition with Carr. William Sawyer says, yes, what offense? I agree, Chip Kelly type. Wait for it says, what things can Marcus bring that can make things better? Okay, I'll tell you. Wait for it, I'll tell you. First of all, Marcus Mariota runs a 4.4840. He can be and has been used on a number of read option plays. He can be used in plays that I favor that are sprint passes, but have a running option for the quarterback. He has an uncanny ability to complete the short pass with aplomb and ease. I know that sounds like something anybody can do, but a lot of people can't. His capability in that is almost on the level of Joe Montana. Okay, the trouble is that Mariota has not been in an offense that allows him the footwork flexibility of a Joe Montana. The problem in today's NFL is you have too many coaches that if they see a running quarterback, especially if it's a black running quarterback, they think, oh my God, I gotta make him run, I gotta make him run, as opposed to designing the option of running into a passing offense. Okay. Only one team I've ever seen. There's only one team I've ever seen that has done that. That team is the Seattle Seahawks with Darrell Bevell as the offensive coordinator. I think studying Darrell Bevell's offense, the way it was designed with Russell Wilson, is the pattern that every offensive coordinator should replicate if they have someone the talent of a Russell Wilson or Jalen Hurts or Marcus Mariota. Don't emphasize the run, or a Lamar Jackson. Don't emphasize the run, emphasize the pass, because what you're doing is you're creating spacing for that moment that your quarterback needs to run. And then you can mix in the quarterback runs to keep, not just to keep the defense honest, right? But to actually engineer a type of defense to be played. What do I mean? If you have a defense that knows your quarterback is going to run wide, they're more likely to play something akin to a wide tackle six. They're keeping everyone down. They've got the linebackers down over the tight ends on either side. They've got one high linebacker in the middle, implying a four-man front. Or if it's a three-man front, they have one linebacker down in a blitz area and one linebacker up. But they're always looking to stop your edge rush. And they're up close. What it makes them vulnerable to are mid-range passes out of play action. So you're coming at them with a fake draw pass or a play action pass to the off tackle play action. One of the best off tackle play action passes I've ever seen was the one that Ben Roethlisberger and Bill Cowher, under Bill Cowher, used a steady diet of against the Indianapolis Colts in 2005, the year where they beat the Colts in the first round AFC divisional playoffs. A game, I might add, a year, I might add, that everyone thought the Colts were going to march to the Super Bowl. They actually did the previous year. But the design of the game plan the Steelers executed in that game featured play action off tackle on the side of the tight end. Tight end goes up and doesn't run quite a stick pattern, which means he turns around. He runs, I call it the Walsh in-out pattern, and he's open. And it was a killer. It was the killer play. I mean, they were stinging the Colts with it on key situations. It was a thing of beauty, and I was rooting against them. But I digress. Let me get to your comments. So there's your answer, okay? What things Marcus can bring that make things better, and there's your answer. Yo-Yo says, how do you prepare for Mariota? Jacobs in the backfield along with Henry Ruggs and Waller. That's assuming John uses the rate, what I would call the Gruden variation of the horizontal offense. That's now the thing in the NFL. That's a great question. That's a great question. Oh, wait for your welcome. Newbait says Gruden's going to love Mariota's mobility and quick twitch reactions that extend plays and move the ball forward. Right. I mean, look, if you want a microcosm of what's going to happen in the season in terms of Carr with respect to Mariota, just look at these comments. Okay. I mean, look at this. This is, it's like you've got people already salivating over the prospect of Mariota. I'm sorry, this is actually backward, isn't it? Sorry about that. But they're salivating over the prospect of Mariota, and hey, so am I. Even though I still blame Mike Mayock for making a choice of Mariota over Jameis Winston had less to do with ability and more to do with race and background and the Erica Kinsman issue. All right. And I still, for me, as much as I root for Mike Mayock as a draftnik, and one of us as there's these things that he does that just, it's kind of like, dude, I'm rooting for you, but can you not, like, well, you know, I'm going to pray that Mike gets it right. I'm going to pray for a successful future this year out of his picks and see what he does in the draft. But I am not for this. I am not for the idea of Mariota as a Raider, because I think that you need to focus on Derek Carr, and I think you need to discipline yourself as a coach. And I'm talking about you, John, okay? Discipline yourself as a coach and come up with a system that works for the people you have. And if you can't do that, retire. All right? That should be your intellectual test. You should be able to say, all right, I've got ingredients here. I'm going to work with the ingredients I've got. I'm not going to consistently hunt for something else. Because then who are you? What's your personality? What analytically are you going to call that works? What kind of analysis are you using to evaluate that? Do you really understand this? Do you have a feel for it? Okay. All of these questions I have. Getting to your comments. And wait for it, says, yes, focus on Carr. I like that. That's all I'm saying. All right. Joseph Amenduras, hey, fire up your phone, man, because I was trying to call you earlier. I tried to call you earlier and your phone just sort of rang and rang and rang. Joseph Amenduras, for those of you who do not know, is one of our Zenny62 media vloggers. And he was kind enough to get the by starting on, he vlogged about the fact that the Raiders did indeed what do I try to do here? Make a deal for Marcus Mariota. Let's see if that works. Joseph? Hey, is this Zenny? Can you hear me?
Can
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool. You got a second? Can you be on?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm tired of hearing myself talk. I want to hear you. What do you think about this deal? I heard, thank you very much for your first vlog, but what do you think? You there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, you jumped it. Move your voice back a little. You move your mouth a little bit back. I can hear you. Yeah, you jumped it. Move your voice back a little. You move your mouth a little bit back from your speaker, and then and I can hear you loud and clear. It just kind of jumps a little bit. I know what's going on with that, but go ahead, please.
So there's one or two things that I mentioned. Is I do think that, as we know, Gruden loves collecting quarterbacks. And I think with Mariota coming, it's going to, at least in Gruden's mindset, I believe, it's going to spark something in Derek Carr. You know, we always see Derek Carr as a kumbaya type of quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a good quarterback. He's not gritty like a lot of these other players that I think Gruden likes. And I wonder was it pushing him to that point. He's kind of tired of hearing the rumors that he's going to get traded. And at this point, I bet you he's upset. And I think Gruden likes that. Now, the other scenario I think is possible is that
wait. Let me ask you a question. Can I ask you a question? Hey, I want to ask you a question. You mean to tell me that you think John Gruden is playing like The Bachelor or something like that? I mean, that's what it sounds like. He's upset. Ooh, it's drama. It's like, ooh. I'm thinking, if he's actually running the team like that, then it's time for another coach. I hope you're wrong, man. I really do. I mean, because that would be
by history. Because if you hear him talk even about his previous incarnation with the Raiders, that's what he wanted. He wanted grittiness. He wanted people to be fiery and kind of, get them upset to fire them up. And I don't know if that's the case, but my first thought process was that's what he wants to do.
But I'm not saying it's not a matter of right or wrong. I just simply am saying if that's the case, he needs to stop coaching because you cannot build a champion that way. I mean, when he was with the Buccaneers, he didn't do that. He had Johnson, at quarterback. There was no controversy over who the quarterback was going to be. He had a powerful defense. He had the personnel John Gruden did that was given to him by Tony Dungy, who had the pleasure of talking with at the NFL Combine, and he marched to the Super Bowl. He knew what he had in his quarterback. He didn't try to wish for something else or go outside that. He built a powerful running game around him with the A-Train Mike Allstott, and had a great receivers and a great offensive line. And they brought Tampa's first and still only Super Bowl trophy home. So I don't believe John has to be the guy you're talking about. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're right. I'm saying that because there's enough out there to back what you're saying, right? But I'm saying if he goes into the future that way, the Raiders will not sniff at the playoffs with him. They will not.
Yeah, and I think every point you make is valid. So it brings up the second scenario is that
hey, you see this is
Mariota.
Adrian says Marcus is trash. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Joseph. What were you saying?
So the other scenario, the second scenario that is probably more than likely is that Mariota, I don't think is as good as Carr. And why would you sign Mariota? Because he doesn't know the system. Now that he wants to continue this rebuilding phase, and he gets rid of Carr for a second rounder and goes after Brady, so Brady could,
Tom Brady is not coming to the Raiders, man. Tom Brady is not coming to the Raiders. Forget it. He is not coming to the Raiders. That ain't happening. I know
I really don't think so either, but it just kind of boggles the mind. Why would you go after Mariota? I don't think he'd be satisfied just being the backup quarterback.
He went after Mariota.
But maybe he will.
He went after Mariota because Mike Mack has been in love with Mariota. Mariota was available for cheap. Marcus Mariota needs a jump start. And that is why I don't buy the idea that Marcus Mariota is going to sit on the bench in back of Derek Carr and just count his money. He's coming there to rejuvenate his career. He's coming there to start because Marcus Mariota, I believe there is a photograph of him sulking. And Eric Young, how you doing? And it says somebody's got to master the master plan. It's getting fun. And my name is Kunich says Gruden has a master plan for the Raiders. And the Phenom says, we all know Gruden loves some QBs. Well, that's my point, though. It's the shiny object thing. I wish John would love him some X's and O's more than he loves himself some QBs. Because if John were better at X's and O's design, and I'm saying this straight out, he would have one QB and then design his offense around it for the purpose of personnel continuity and leadership construction. You cannot construct a competent leadership system in your locker room, let alone your offense, with doing this modern day version of the Tom Landry, Craig Morton, and Roger Staubach shuttling the quarterbacks in and out jazz. You pick a quarterback and you go with it. Every single time you've had two very, very good quarterbacks, there's always been a controversy. Okay? And the fans are going to say, hey, look, what are we doing here? They're going to say, what are we doing here? They're going to think it, even if they don't say it. It's not good for anybody. And then it takes away from the simple fact that you have a coach that doesn't understand how to design a system around the concept of the triplets. Your quarterback, your star running back, your star wide receiver. Okay? Gruden could have had his star wide receiver when I went back and I said, hey, you know what? You guys need to get Courtland Sutton in here. You didn't do that. That would have been your star wide receiver. Then you match him with Josh Jacobs. They had Amari Cooper and let him go. All right. So they need to focus on a constant replenishment of the triplets concept. The Cowboys, Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. Cowboys of old, Roger Staubach, Drew Pearson, Tony Dorsett, and go on and on and on. Why do we know these names even to this day? Because these offenses were focused on having them as starters and designing a system around them. And it took Bill Walsh, look, Montana, Roger Craig, Freddie Solomon, Jerry Rice, Dwight Clark. You see what I'm getting at? The system of an offense consists of players given enough rotations and time to understand the system so well that, as Bill Walsh once said, they begin to transcend the system. All right? They know the rules so well that they actually figure out new ways to run a pattern, new ways to make a block that actually make the play work better. John does not give his people time enough to do that. And then he expects wins? That's nuts. It's completely nuts. All right. Mario says, how much we pay him? I don't know. Roland Dub says, good evening, all. Adrian Sanchez says, Gruden needs to leave. He's washed up. Mario says, I think in case Carr gets hurt. What do you think, Joseph? I talked. I didn't mean to overtalk you. Or did I? Are you there? Joseph?
I'm here.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. He must have zoned out.
No. I was saying hello, but I don't know with the
was there a
feed or
delay?
something, but I said hello a couple times.
Oh, okay. So what say you?
Well, going back to Gruden, what I think is Gruden is a victim of his own hype. As much as I like Gruden,
I love him.
I think he feels he could do no wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that. I think he's a victim of his own hype. And if we're actually going to go after a potential number one, why didn't we go after Teddy Bridgewater? Whether or not that would fit in the Raiders scheme, I don't know. But I think Bridgewater is a much better quarterback than Mariota.
You should have made a bid for Jameis Winston.
Why didn't we do that?
You should have made a bid for Jameis Winston, got him out of Florida, and got him into Vegas. Right. That would be even better. But see, if he made a bid for Jameis Winston,
made a huge offer to Brady.
If he had made, forget Brady. Brady will not win. Okay, Tom Brady.
No. What I'm saying is,
Jameis Winston win in Las Vegas. Okay, period. But Tom Brady, sorry, he's not going to win wherever he goes. I don't care, except if he stays in New England. The Patriots have 12 draft picks. Okay, but he's not going to win any place else he goes. I'm not buying the hype. I'm not. There's no logical reason. In fact, there's every logical reason he should fail, Tom Brady, and not do well. Period. Okay. But Jameis Winston with John Gruden, yeah, that would be cool. And if John were smart, he'd want that. He wouldn't listen to Mariota. Okay. I tell Mike just to, hey, Mike, go have a nice steak dinner somewhere, enjoy Vegas. Well, they appreciate you spent the money. Actually, there's a lot of places you can't go right now, so maybe it's not a bad idea. But the whole point is, um, you should have brought him in because Jameis is being highly disrespected in Tampa. A lot of it's racial. Sorry, just as people like hearing that, but it's too bad. You need to open up and look the lion in the mouth when people are talking about this stuff, okay? And stop trying to ignore it, okay? And that man is a talent who came this close to going to Stanford, should have went and learned football under David Shaw, and he wouldn't be going through half the stuff he's went through at Florida State or at Tampa. Florida has not been good to Jameis Winston on the field. Now, off the field, he's a pillar of the community. Maybe he's got a nice house and everything. So I'm happy to be wrong because I want to see best for the young man, okay? But in terms of the NFL, Jameis Winston is not getting his due. He's put in an offense that's crappy. The coach says, you designs these plays with option routes, but they're not plays with shake routes where you can actually shake the defender. So guess what? There's very little space between the defender and the receiver, and they're not practicing a true timed offense. You can tell by the way they play, how you practice shows up in how you play, right? All you have to watch is how they play to tell how they're not practicing it. It's agonizing to watch. It just is. It makes my belly ache. Oh, and okay. Eric Young says, y'all might disagree with me when I say this, but if Derek Carr leaves the Raiders, they will regret it. Agreed. Mario Roman says, you went on a rant. Yeah, I did. I'm mad, man. I'm fired up about this stuff. New says, Carr to Denver? No, he is not going to breathe out my friend Drew Lock. No. Not at all. John Collins says, Drew Lock is the next great Bronco. Watch. John Collins says, I think Nathan Peterman will probably be the backup quarterback to Mariota. Carr will be traded. I could see that. JMB Productions says Brady would bring Lombardi to Vegas. Are you kidding me? Jay, I want, and I haven't had alcohol in a while. I want what you're drinking. Okay. That's an interesting fantasy, but it's not happening. He'll bring money to Vegas. He'll bring eyeballs to Vegas, but Lombardi, forget it, pal. It ain't happening. And JMB says 3-year contract for Brady. I say Tom Brady's best chance at a Lombardi is staying right there in New England. Why would you be so stupid as to walk away from your team that you know so well that happens to have not 5, not 10, but 12 draft picks, okay? They have enough draft picks to shake and bake, chuck and roll, and do anything they want to do. New England's going to be freaking dangerous, man. More so, all right? Nico Belli says, Drew Lock is a future franchise QB and Denver loves him. Kyle Lee says, Rachel, he threw 30 interceptions. He also threw 30 touchdowns. And not only that, yeah, I said Rachel because Carson Palmer in his first year under Arians' offense threw 22 interceptions. 22. Okay? He cut it down the next year because he needed to learn. But Jameis Winston threw 30 touchdowns. And there were a number of passes he threw that were almost touchdowns that were dropped or overthrown. Someone has a video of the interceptions he almost threw, but I turned around and said, well, wait a minute. Why didn't you bother to look at the interception, not the interceptions he almost threw, but the touchdown passes he almost had? Okay? So basically, that person had in their mindset to find something bad about Jameis to begin with, and they put it on video. So how about someone who has the mindset to show something that Jameis did well and then put that on video? So you say it's not racial? Bullshit. It's totally racial. Okay? Period. We've had how many quarterbacks in this league that are in the Hall of Fame who've thrown a lot of interceptions, like a certain Oakland Raider favorite of mine named the Snake, who I've personally seen play at the Coliseum. As much as I love Kenny Stabler, as much as he was the hallmark example of the Al Davis version of the Sid Gilman offense, all right, to watch him throw these picks against the hated Denver Broncos in the day particularly in 1976. Oh, my Lord. Eric Young says Brady of the Raiders will not happen. Mariota or Carr. What do I think, boss? Mariota starts over Carr. Raider P says Gruden does really need to work on X's and O's because his problems is in game adjustments. Yep. Spencer Pearson says Winston turns ball over too much, even at FSU had 19 picks. But his second year, I'm glad you brought that up because his second year, teams started using too high safeties against them, and they started kind of a different rotating zone. Point is, they were getting a book on him. The first year, he didn't have that problem when they marched to the national championship. The second year, he did because teams had a book on them, and now it was like, we got to stop this guy. And what I dislike about that entire aspect of his college time was that his coach, Jimbo Fisher, who I've interviewed, who watched my interview here on Zenny 62 Media, on Zenny 62 on YouTube, did not adjust for that. And then, one day I'll get a chance to ask Jimbo about that. He didn't adjust for that appropriately. And he left Jameis sitting out there with a game plan that more often than not was ineffective. Okay. So not only did he do it, Dirk Carter did it. Dirk Carter was in love with having Jameis throw deep. Remember they're using 7-step drops when it was unheard of? He wasn't rolling him out as much. I remember getting after Todd Monken, who was the offensive coordinator, and saying, why don't you roll him out? And I actually drew a play and put it on Twitter and said, use that, right? They started rolling him out. And the reason why I say it like that is I put that to Carter, and then Dirk said, oh, yeah, that was you. So, yeah, that was me, okay? Have him roll out. So I am Jack Bull determined to tell the truth about how this man, I'm talking about Jameis Winston, is misused and completely wrecked in his situations. He is, if you think about it, this is a sad statement in our society. All the other quarterbacks in the league, save for two who are African American, are known for running, but there are two who are known for pocket passing, and they're very good at starting. One of them is Jacoby Brissett, and the other is Jameis Winston. And Jameis Winston has no peer. The man is a gunslinger. He is a sharp shooter. All right, continuing. Raider Kuko says, the question I was trying to ask is whether the coronavirus can impact Vegas stadium construction and force the Raiders go back to Oakland for one more year at the high rent. Mike Florio started that idea. Here's why that's wrong. The Raiders backed out of their lease. They didn't sign it. And they told the Oakland Alameda County Joint Powers Authority, hey, we're going to Vegas. We're not going to extend the lease. When they really should have extended the lease. And now we see that they should have. And so now the Raiders are in this consistent place I told you they're going to be in, where they're always sweating bullets, wondering if the roof is going to be finished on time or this or that or the other thing is going to work. And that's where they are. Now, on the other hand, what they're building, when it is finally finished, will be magnificent. Do you realize they will have this enormous side on the I-15 side of the building? Oh, just wait until that gets started, man. Woo! That's going to completely change the game right there. Mark Davis is always talking about activation. You'll see that's what he's talking about. When he talks about sponsorship activation, it's that screen outside. Nobody else has it. That will be a major revenue generator for the organization. But they got to get there.
I have a
first.
question for you. Maybe
yeah, sure. Yeah,
that
go
might
ahead.
help.
Yeah.
So now, initially, I know a while ago when we talked about then potentially renewing the lease, I had predicted that they would wait until March 31st. Now, obviously, they should have with all this situation going on. But do you see a reason why they decided to make the claim that they did so early and not waited till towards the end of the deadline, till basically March 31st or April 1st. I mean, I don't see the reason why they pulled the trigger so fast.
I do.
Because
okay,
go ahead.
Political pressure. This deal has a lot of
that makes sense. Yeah.
This deal has a lot of heavy hitters behind it. From former Senator Harry Reid to former Clark County Commissioner, now Governor Steve Sisolak, to Sheldon Adelson, who spent still, a great deal of money on lobbyists and behind the scenes assistants, to the casino industry that basically stepped up and politically assisted him or asked their employees to go out and buy PSLs. Okay. So, and there's a whole value chain of people that were involved, heavy hitters that were involved in getting this done that you need to get anything done in Las Vegas. I mean, the one thing that I can say that Mark did exceptionally well was he activated a city to work on his, a state to work on his behalf. He activated a city to work on his, a state to work on his behalf. And you can do nothing but just applaud him like that and say, hey, well done. Because maybe they have a roof problem. Yeah, maybe they have problems that I've talked about. But the overarching fact is Mark Davis did something that few people believed could be done. He got the NFL to Vegas. All right. He saw the time was right. He saw that UNLV had a mechanism, an intellectual mechanism by which to do gambling in the NFL and sports. And Mark did not hesitate to pull the trigger. That's something to applaud and something for him to gain praise from. You'd be dishonest if you weren't doing so. Okay.
So he basically took a gamble for a city that's known for gambling.
Well, it wasn't so much he took a gamble. He did it because it wasn't a gamble. That's an interesting point. For many years, let me put it this way, okay? Just to give you an idea of how stark these things are in terms of the change. In 2015 through 14, and I'm gonna get to your comments, by the way. In fact, hey Joseph, can you see the comments on your end?
Well, no, I have to put it. I'm just using my phone right now. So if I go to YouTube, I'm not able to be connected on the phone.
Oh, okay. Because I was saying if you see the comments, if you can read one out, that'd be great. If you can't, don't worry about it. But let me get back to your question. The issue, Mark was facing is one that the NFL had laid out for its member clubs. How do you gain $25 million in your local area per club? And the reason why you see this breaking up of the Niners and the Raiders is because for years the league wanted them in one stadium, but Mark didn't want to use the Niners stadium. Okay. And there was no Oakland example for Jed to want to come to. First existed at MetLife Stadium with the Giants and the Jets, and now exists at SoFi Stadium with the Chargers and the Rams. But what Mark saw in going after the gambling dollar were two things. First, an opportunity for that extra layer of income, because we all know that media rights fees are drying up. And this matters. It's a ticking time bomb. It's going in an imploding direction. And he saw that it could be done in a way where the fears of cheating were dramatically reduced. hence the UNLV paper that he was introduced to at a meeting that was set up by former Raider Napoleon Kaufman. All right. So um, Davis skillfully handled that aspect of the deal. What he did not do correctly, however, was let Oakland know what he was really doing. And that is why we have this court problem. And that's why we have this antitrust problem. And that is why we have this lack of good faith dealing problem. The lack of good faith dealing problem is enormously large. All right. Did I answer your question, Joseph?
Yeah, and I wonder if part of it too was he's playing catch up. I mean, every owner, he's one of the last, or maybe the last owner that was family owned that came in terms of owners. Every owner now is a billionaire. And right. I thought maybe this is also was an opportunity for him to catch up financially.
With the assistance of Jerry Jones.
In ways that he wasn't able to compete.
Yeah, with the assistance of Jerry Jones. And let's not forget that the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, who I consider a business genius, is standing behind him all the way. He runs Legends Hospitality, just Jerry Jones.
Right.
He has you would say, why do I call Jerry Jones a genius? Because he understands how to use his chutzpah to change the fortunes of a business franchise. Okay, that's why. He and Tillman Fertitta of the Fertitta who runs of Landry's restaurants, all right, who had this talk show, or not talk show, but this kind of reality show on CNBC, always talk about how to do business during a recession. So if any of you out there are business owners, in particular, read the publications by Tillman Fertitta in terms of publications in Inc. magazine and other organs to find out how he thinks about business. Jerry Jones, I remember Mr. Jones told me something. This was in 2007, and I had started Sports Business Simulations, and I made something called the Oakland Baseball Sim World. We made online simulations of sports organizations for use in the classroom. I had come up with an idea for something called the Dallas Cowboys Sim World. I sent it to the Cowboys office, but it wound up in the lap of some intern. I don't know what happened to it. So when I was at the Lee Steinberg Super Bowl party, which was in Scottsdale, Arizona that year, I went up to Jerry and told him what I did. And he said, make sure that proposal gets to me. And I looked at the proposal. I thought it was crap. And so I never sent it because I thought it was going to be rejected. So keep this in mind, folks. Okay. Honest talk. Keep this in mind. A year ago, when I was at that Raider party and Mark was afraid to talk to me, but Jerry Jones wasn't, and I told Jerry about that. And I told him why I didn't submit it. And Jerry, he had some wine. And when Jerry gets to wine, he gets to rollicking, right? And Jerry says, hell, how do you know I wouldn't have liked it? That changed my life. Okay? Because the point is, we are all the same. But what happens in here in terms of confidence directs a person one place or the other. When I say we're all the same, we are all the same. But people treat us differently. They treat us differently by the fact that we're men versus women, black and white, and everything else, okay? That makes us all have a unique walk through life, our own story, our own movie, if you will. You have a movie, I have a movie, everybody has a movie. So how we live our movie, right, is dictated by how we feel about ourselves, about how our ability to overcome our own misgivings about ourselves and move forward. It doesn't matter if it's life, it doesn't matter if it's love, it doesn't matter if it's money, or some combination of all three. Tillman Fertitta and Jerry Jones have mastered that. In terms of black business, Magic Johnson has mastered that. He mastered that because he met Michael Ovitz, who I had the pleasure of meeting, who was Hollywood's top agent, Tom Cruise's representative, created the concept of packaging in Hollywood agency parlance. And now Magic Johnson, because he listened to Ovitz among other people, is a billionaire. All right? He listened and followed. So and so you can tell I admire Jerry Jones a great deal. I really do. To the extent that Mark Davis is listening and following, Mark can get on that path. I don't know to what extent he is. Mark is different from Jerry because Mark, I think, and I can only speak for how he relates to me, is not the first person I would think of to sit down and just talk business strategy with. On the other hand, I can talk business strategy all day long with Jerry Jones. And sometimes, like, I have a really technical head, so sometimes I'll say stuff and you'll say, "What is that?" But and I'm not saying I've talked to him at length all the time, but in the few times I've had the opportunity to do so. I've talked to him at length all the time, but in the few times I've had the opportunity to do so. Another person who was great at making the business environment work for him in terms of turning the situation to his favor was the late Bob McNair, who owned the Texans. And so you might see that one thing, get to know a number of people with the league, is some of the business thoughts and business behaviors of many of the owners. It's taken a while for it to sink in because I'm naturally a late bloomer, but it sinks in. And so let me get off that because I really can talk about that for a long, long time. But I want to get to the comments that other people are making because they're really juicy here. So let me go back and Joseph, do you have anything you wanted to say or ask before? And did I?
No, go ahead and ask the comments. I know everybody's been waiting.
Yeah. Well, they've been waiting. They've been flying away. They haven't been waiting much at all. This is great. Okay. And let's see here. Raider Cruz says, the question I was trying to ask is whether coronavirus can impact the Vegas stadium construction and force the Raiders to go back to Oakland for one more year at the high rent. I answered that. Nick Beo says, this is Jameis make or break year. Raider P says, isn't this the year we could get out of Carr contract? I believe so, but I have to check that. Do you know the answer to that, Joseph? By chance?
I believe they can, but I think there's a $3 million or $6 million shortfall on that. But I can check while you're talking.
Cool. Stephen Marks says, or asks, he says, we can recoup a ton of money if we get away from Carr. Raider P adds, and meanwhile, Jerry Jones overpaying for Amari drop ball Cooper. But, Jerry Jones overpays for a lot of people. I think Jerry sees that money can buy loyalty and can buy performance. That is a formula that works more often than not. The Colt 45 show says, Kirk Cousins is so trash, we gave him a 2-year extension. And Stephen Mark says, never going back. Colt 45 show says, what about the Oakland Panthers indoor football team? The Oakland Panthers indoor football team will be fantastic when they get going. And I need to do a show about them. So I will save my gunpowder for a show about the Panthers. The Court 45 show says, is the Freedom Football League a bust? It would seem so. Stephen Mark says, agreed. Newgate says, Gruden doesn't want a bunch of angry men. He wants and can only use men that have an intense passion for football. Stephen Mark says he had nothing to lose. Talking about Mariota. The Court 45 show says, did you hear the news that the 2020 NFL draft is still going on, but it will be canceled in Las Vegas? Yes, I did. I was hoping to go, but we can't now, thanks coronavirus. Now, it's a sad situation for Vegas, which is now facing a month of March where the stadium authority will owe they will be on the whole by negative $36 million with respect to revenue for this bond issue, and that's a conservative estimate. It could be, not saying 36 million, I meant 3.6 million. It could be 3.9 or 4 million, but I think 3.6 million is more on the dot. The question is, will this extend through the next month? And by all accounts, it looks like it will. It is what I fear the most are those people who are working on the strip and in the gig economies who depend on tips to keep themselves going, that's really, really, a really sorrowful situation. And what needs to be done fast, and this administration is not doing it, is to stop blinging around with this whole idea of a tax cut and simply engineer subsidies to put money in the pockets of people. $1,000 per person. That should be the objective. And we can do that. Okay. $1,000 per working person in the American population. We can do that. In fact, really, it should be $2,000. We can do that. Because you match that with paying utility bills, have a forgiveness program for utilities. So you paid the utility bills for people plus 2,000. That helps a great many people. And you have, that would help a great many people along. It would help better in lower cost areas of the country than it would, say, in the Bay Area. But look, it would be a help. And if it were done, there are people under this program who would get $2,000 that have never gotten anything from anyone and may very well be struggling to get a job, looking for a job, for a 2-year period, staying on somebody else's couch. So we need to really get serious about literally lurching this market back into performance, giving it the jump start that it needs. I don't know if we're going to do that under this administration. It shouldn't matter, but we should do it. So that was for you, Quote 45 show. And Stefan Marza says, I think the Davis family had a great relationship with the mayor of Vegas, and that transpired into a Raiders Vegas marriage. And Willie Wayne says, good, no Brady. And Corey Brown says, how does the MGM closure affect the stadium bond situation? Well, that's a good question. It doesn't affect the stadium bond situation, but it could affect the Raiders sponsorship agreement. If MGM looks at its bottom line financial figures and determines they can't afford the sponsorship pledges that were agreed to, that's going to be a problem for the Raiders, because they were able to say, hey, look, we've got $200 million. It's not all one chunk, it's over a period of years, but they can forward invoice that, if you will, okay, leverage it, and use that for the finishing of construction of the stadium, as they have done with a number of sponsorship monies they've accrued, and or use it for player related expenses. The point, though, is that MGM having this financial problem, not just MGM. Remember, we've got Caesars Entertainment too. Okay. It all should give Mark Bedane, the Raiders president, an unfortunate bellyache, which he can cure by a curious mixture of baking soda and ginger ale and ice. So Willie Wayne says, is this good for the Raiders in terms of Mariota? No, because they're not going to win. They're back to confused land state. Stephen Mark says, New Eight football smarts, discipline, reliability, passion all the way. The Phantom asks, did anyone know that Brett Favre holds the career record for interceptions, but he's regarded as the Paul Bunyan figure? Thank you. And that gets back to my comment about Jameis Winston. All right? For those of you who are saying, well, it's 30 for 30. The man is an excellent quarterback. Period. End of story. He should be regarded as the next Brett Favre. Billy Taylor says, I also believe that Marcus Mariota will send Derek Carr to the bench. I do too. Willie Rain says, Favre was the Iron Man. Tough. He got his ring. Stephen Mark says, Billy Taylor, I like all your comments. I've seen you a whole bunch on Raiders YouTube stuff and feel ya. Oh, I didn't know this is our YouTube channel. Cool. Stephen Mark says Billy Taylor. Excuse me, I got that. New 8 says your boy Joseph is too involved in media hype and rumor than understanding football. We talking about Amenduras? He talking about you, man. What are you saying about? What are you talking about? Your boy Joseph too involved in media hype and rumor than understanding football. Oh, that's not true. I'll take up from Joseph understands football, and but there's nothing wrong with good media hype and rumor once in a while. You hear that, Joseph? Joseph? I think we lost Joseph.
No, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So what I think part of it is, and I think you have to explore every possible scenario. And so you give excellent reports, and I just try to counter that because I think part of a good blog is to show those different sides of a potential situation.
Agreed.
So
absolutely.
That's kind of what I'm not going to repeat everything you say because I agree probably 90% of what you're saying, but to play devil's advocate for the sake of a conversation or for the program, I'll bring up what I do bring up.
Yeah, and since you mentioned, I wasn't thinking. No one ever has to agree with me 100%. All I ask is that you don't say things that get us sued. Okay, but and you're far from that. Willie Wayne says Carr or Mariota, keep both.
With regards to Carr, I know we had a question earlier. There is no guaranteed money in 2020 for Carr.
Ah, okay. Willie Wayne says Carr or Mariota, keep both. Or I say that you should focus on Carr and not Mariota, because once you bring Mariota into the building, you are basically signaling that you want to fight your starting quarterback. That's what this is to me. It's kind of like, hey, look, I've got Rock'em Sock'em Robots. In this corner, there's Derek Carr, and in this corner, there is Marcus Mariota, and then you fight them until one knocks the other's blood off. Right? That's what this looks like to me. It doesn't look like Mariota sitting on the bench and being content. Remember, folks, we heard that before with Ryan Tannehill and Mariota. All right? So, Willie Wayne, there you go. Billy Taylor says, thanks not the legs to make the plays Gruden is looking for. We have to essentially compete with Mahomes and his backyard play style twice a year, and that play style works nowadays. True. Phenom says, Wayne, Favre should have had more than one ring, but he couldn't get out of his own way at times. Nimble says, go ahead, Billy T. And Billy T says, that. All right, let me get through these comments. Let me be started, all right? Rated P says, do you think Gruden will announce Marcus is starter before the season is over or start Carr? He'll start. What'll happen, one of two things will happen. Either he'll start Mariota to start the season, or he'll start Carr and he'll go into Mariota. Either one way or the other, it'll happen that way. Billy Taylor says Mariota will win the starting job sometime during preseason. I mean, and that's my point. Either way, Mariota is going to win the starting job. I'm telling you, he's going to do it, okay? Absent injury. Because the one other thing that Marcus has a problem being is he's a China doll. He gets injured easily. So is Derek Carr. But Derek is less of a China doll than Marcus. Rated P says, it's crazy. I'm watching WWE Raw with no fans in the background. It's crazy, man. Oh, this is a crazy time. New Nate says, start the car. Let Marcus Mariota learn to earn it. Corvette, how you doing, buddy? Corvette says, can the coronavirus delay the stadium open? It could. Billy Taylor says, and see, if it does delay the stadium opening, here's the thing, folks, all right? First of all, the Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting is canceled. That was supposed to be on the 19th. A. B. Here's the one thing. Originally, the first event at the stadium was scheduled for August 16th. But now, there's no defined date, an undefined date. That's what's officially written by the Construction Monitor. and it snuck by what little media is there except me, and I'm gonna blow that up some more. Undefined date. So you don't know that Garth Brooks is really going to be playing in the stadium on the 22nd of August. You bought tickets for it. I know because it sold out, and because of you, I couldn't get them. Just saying. You beat me to the punch. But my point is, hey, you could be looking at a date that gets pushed back. Just saying. So, and see here. Oh, Nico Bellic says Billy Taylor, Carr, and Mariota both poozies. What's a poozie? Newell says coronavirus can do what it wants right now. Eric Young says, I wish we could have an Oakland Raiders team too. Billy Taylor says that true about Carr, Mariota will prove to be worthy. The Colt 45 show. I work in one of the largest casinos in Southern California, but today we closed down today for 2 weeks, and casino reopened on April 1st. But good thing we are getting paid for the 2 weeks. New 8 says, time to start using your head for your own benefit, my friend. This may be a last chance. And Raider PRSP says, Eric Young, holler at Vince McMahon. Raiders PRSP says he owns XXL. Stefan Marska says Billy Taylor agreed. Nico Bellic writes, Billy Taylor neither can throw the ball more than 10 yards, talking about Mariota and Carr. That's hyperbole, but it's based on a bit of a truism. But I know Derek has thrown some great deep balls. I have to say, how can we forget his performance against Kansas City? All right, 2 years ago, Thursday Night Football. I was there, Coliseum, epic contest, epic. Remember that game, Joseph?
Yeah, I do remember that game. That was a great game.
Oh, something else. Billy Taylor says the coronavirus closed the office of the apartment complex I live at. Only maintenance requests available. Wow. New 8 says, can we leave CV out of this? Who is CV? Coronavirus? Okay. Colt 45 show says, what about the T-Mobile Arena? What about it? And I don't mean to be jocular or, rude. I'm just saying you didn't finish the thought there. Corey Brown says nightlife is still jumping in downtown Tempe this evening. What's the temperature? Hey Siri, temperature in downtown Tempe tonight.
The high temperature from tonight to tomorrow at 6 a.m. in Tempe, Arizona will be 66 degrees.
Whoa.
And the low will be 55.
Whoa. Okay, so 6. What's going to be the high tomorrow? Hey Google. Hey Siri. What's the high in Tempe, Arizona tomorrow?
Looks like it will be partly cloudy in Tempe, Arizona tomorrow. The high will be 73 degrees.
Nice.
And the low will be 55.
Nice. Thank you. Big Terry says, Mariota can air it out. The Oregon Ducks were explosive under Mariota. Yep. New 8 says, please. He says, you think they're in here, Nico? Stephen Marks says, Joseph, not even close to media. Now we got a debate. That's funny. Nico Bellic says, who?
I know. But you know what? Sometimes it just takes one person, and that's it.
Did you know what that means now, don't you? Joseph, you know what that means now, right? It means you're famous.
What?
You're famous, dude. They're talking about you.
I'm not as famous as many.
Nah. You don't want to get to the level where people start trolling you and stuff.
You
get to these people like Enrique Orco. I have to make a video about him because he's trolling my women friends on my YouTube channel. What a jerk. Cyber stalking jerk. Man, oh man. Oh, just woohoo stuff. Anyway, Billy Taylor says Marcus Mariota went to the same high school as Tua. And so are you telling me wait. Tua looked up to Mariota. It would be great if the Raiders could get Tua. So now here it comes. All right. So basically, are you telling me that there's a scenario where the Raiders dump Derek keep Marcus, draft Tua, start Marcus, put Tua on the bench, all right? And basically get ready for the 2020 NFL season because they ain't going nowhere this year with that kind of stern and drum, all right? That's what you're telling me? Interesting. That's interesting. Nico Bellic says Tua is the next Matt Leinart. Oh, that's mean. Oh, that's mean. Tua is nothing like Matt Leinart, man. I have nothing but love for Matt. I had the pleasure of meeting him. In fact, I met Matt at an NFL draft party the year he was drafted at a restaurant it's on Zenny62 on YouTube here. It's a restaurant. Oh my goodness. It's a restaurant that I'm not going to look it up now because if I can't remember, I can't remember it. It's a restaurant that is built or was built into the Brooklyn Bridge. And I was at the bar. He came out of the bathroom. He was at the bar. And I said, I always wanted to do this, buy the bar around. So I did. But continuing with your comments, New8 says that's the Disney.
Real quick about the Tua situation.
Sure.
FYI, CBS said mock draft has Tua at 5. So let's say that holds to be true, then the Raiders have to do a lot of maneuvering to jump up to get Tua.
They would have to do quite a bit of maneuvering. I think the organization that's in a place to do the best maneuvering to get Tua right now would seem to be in New England. They have 12 picks. So I'm not saying that they will, okay? But they're in a great position to get him or Justin Herbert, who I think would look great in the Patriots uniform. And I think he's going to be a great NFL quarterback. I really do. They have some options there. The Patriots do. They've got a lot of flexibility. They got a lot of flexibility. They got a lot of as Steve Martin would say, they got a lot of King Tut move. Okay, but let's see here. D. Dixon says, I agree. How you feel about yourself is huge. Yep. And Newt says, yeah, the Bills are not the Raiders. Nico says, rest in peace, Vikings playoff hopes. Ooh. Are they still going to have the NFL draft? They are, but not in Vegas. New 8 says, I hope Stephen marks a huge part of what makes signing so exciting. Drew the Empath says, good trade, but Carr will ball out this season. And Drew the Empath says, Carr, I understood what you meant. The Colt 45 show writes, do you think the UNLV Rebels will have fans at their football games at the new stadium? I think the question is, will they have a lot of fans at the new stadium? And my answer is, I think that they will, because of the novelty factor. There will be people who want to be in the stadium to check it out. And beyond that, I think it's a crapshoot. Because the more people get used to the stadium with this economy, all right, the more likely it is it's a one and done. They'll show up, be cool, and then that'll be it. If people are able to go at all. See, we're in this mindset. We are rightfully, arguably, thinking about this future as if the coronavirus problem never happened, but we're living it. And so that's going to cloud the NFL's future. It's certainly going to cloud the Raiders' future, sports future as a whole, our futures. Let's face it. So the question is, how many people will even be able to afford to go? The question is, will UNLV say, hey, look, free entry for anybody that has X, Y, and Z? The question is, will they actually even have a game at all? That's where we're at. Falcon says, will XFL come back? Yes. Stephen Marks says, I'm telling you, the legs is what makes the QB at this point in the NFL. You're right. Gangster Loco says, how long they sign MM for? I believe it's 1 year. Falcons fan says, "Hey, is Hayden Hurst an upgrade over Austin Hooper?" No, man, because Austin can block, and he is regularly regarded as, if not the best, then one of the best blocking tight ends in the league. Lane Justice says, "How about them Bengals franchise tag AJ Green, OJ and Ojo Joey Burrow got all kinds of weapons. Now they throw the pigskin to Houday. Houday better get a Who defense. That Houday defense is awful, man. It was good in flashes. It wasn't awful. It was good in flashes." Lane Justice says Bengals will be must-watch TV this year. Willie Wayne says it's the West Coast offense, hardly any deep stuff. Yeah, but the whole point is it's not so much West Coast, because the West, look, that's a misnomer. The Bill Walsh offense actually is a deep passing offense. In many of the plays, the alert receiver is one taking off on a post pattern or a fly pattern, and then you check down. So don't mistake the West Coast for a deliberately short pass only system. It's not that at all. There are a lot of plays. It is a gigantic toolbox of plays that can be used for pretty much any situation. Okay. What you have to understand are the principles of footwork, of progressions, and reads, and then of course the nomenclature. You can modify the nomenclature to your own taste. Okay, particularly if you know how to write language, your own meaning for things. So from that standpoint, I favor the Bill Walsh offense over, say, the Patriots, the Erhard Perkins offense. I find the Erhard Perkins offense compelling, but because I know the Bill Walsh offense better in terms of nomenclature, or I could adopt the Erhard Perkins offense like that, I prefer the other. And I'm talking about just nomenclature and ways of thinking. The West Coast offense is more, the Bill Walsh offense, as I prefer to call it, is more pointillist. You really get specific. But their Erhard Perkins offense is modular. At any rate, Lane Justice says, have Fisher returning it off QT and quality. What is this? And we'll be drafting some great young talent to add to offensive line. The team has a bright future. Have Fisher return at QT or OT? Oh, offensive tackle. Got it. Stephen Mark says, question. Raiders 2020 first round draft pick. Who would it be? Ooh, pick. Who would it be? I am thinking. Let me put it this way. I know who I think it should be. All right. And I think I think I don't think Jurdy is going to be around, but if he's not, then I kind of feel it's going to be an offensive lineman. There's a number of selections of them, but I feel it's going to be an offensive lineman because there are a lot of good first round level old linemen, and then it tails off a bit. So I think the best strategy is to get one while they're hot. You know what I mean? So, but I'm definitely going to revise that based on what I'm thinking about, and I don't want to hold up. I don't want to have too much dead air. All right. Now, let me get back to where was I here? Joseph, any thoughts?
Well, I was thinking that LSU linebacker, I'm trying to blank on his name, might be the first pick for the Raiders.
Simmons, but I don't think he's going to be around by then. The dude,
Yeah.
he ran a four.
Yeah,
he had
you
a
mean,
4.3940 at the combine. He's like Derek White. I mean, Derek White, who was taken by the Bucks. Okay, so I can't see him lasting that long. I can't. But hey, strange things happen, right?
And what are your thoughts that we should continue to? Obviously, we need to solidify the defense, but I wonder if we draft any wide receivers, if we should use those drafts for defense and basically try to look for free agents for the wide receiver position.
Well, I think that the first round should be used for defense. And look, if the Raiders can get their hands on Derek Brown will be the cornerstone of the franchise. All right. Now, I'm not talking about what you asked me. I thought the Raiders were going to do with someone down here in the comments. But I'm talking what I think the Raiders should do. I think the Raiders should move heaven and earth to get either Derek Brown or the gentleman from South Carolina, Javon, whose last name just flew out of my head, because I think Javon's going to be a hoss. And arguably, Javon is better than Derek Brown. And I say that because Javon has a wingspan that's out of this world. He really bats passes in a way that Derek Brown does not. And he's really a disruptor who, with his size at defensive tackle, is going to give offenses a lot of problem in the middle. So the Raiders can't go wrong with either one of the two of them. And the Raiders need to make sure that they're in the top 7 to get either one. Right now, they're not. But my point is, the Raiders need a defensive tackle, someone when you look at to say that's going to be the next Mean Joe Green or Warren Sapp, to be the cornerstone of the Raider defense for the next 5 years. If they don't come away with somebody like that, as far as I'm concerned, the draft is a failure. But that's what the Raiders need. They don't need to mess around with, this person had a health problem, so we got him on the lower rounds and all that sort of stuff that they were doing when they were cash strapped. They need to really get somebody who has that capability. Now, as far as wide receivers, there are a number of good small school and black college wide receivers that should be explored. And we don't talk about enough on this show, and I'm going to change that. So let me get back to that one and on another show. Sports Pick says, Palm Springs in the house. How you doing? And Lane Justice is all over the idea that Joe Burrow will have a phenomenal year. And Colt 45 show asked, do you think the Oakland A's are going to get a new stadium and ballpark? Yes. I heard A's are going to move and get a ballpark in San Jose called Cisco Field. No, you didn't hear that. You didn't hear that. That was, you're talking about something that was 10 or 12 years old, man. Okay, forget that. And if you brought that here deliberately to be funny, I hope you didn't. That's not cool. All right. The bottom line is no. The A's will get their ballpark at Howard Terminal. There are a number of people who want it at the Coliseum. There's some controversy there, but they already have the legislation and the council and the city behind them to build it at Howard Terminal. It's a matter of time. Bill Taylor says Raiders can keep Carr, Mariota, and then have Tua. Raiders can still sign Tom Brady or Jameis Winston. Get rid of Carr. Forget it. Deal with one guy. Not this parade of stars. All right? That's not what it's about. It's about building a champion. You're not going to build a champion that way. You're just not. It's not a show. It's not. You're not building a football team to have show horses. You're building a football team to win. You can't win with show horses. Knock it off. It's ridiculous. Michael Allen says Mariota is a great fit for Gruden's system mobile QB. The quote 45 show says, I think Justin Herbert or LA Chargers. And then he says, what do you think about the new LA Rams logo? Barf. Nobody says we can bail out Banks, but he asked, right? Willie Wayne says Rams logo is a joke. Mark Eli says trade Carr to the Bears. Lincoln Bayo says Hey Bear is hot, but he might be a bust. Oh, what the hot stuff about? Billy Taylor says Rams new logo, a mix of the Chargers, Bolt, and Rams. The Rams new logo looks like somebody went to a late night hookah bar, had too much, came out, drew that crap on a napkin, and then Kroenke in a state of fit said, I got nothing else I'm going to do with that. Ugh. I mean,
what's funny is that, here locally, as you know, there's always an LA argument who's more popular, the Raiders or the Rams. But that stupid logo, the Raiders out far past the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, logo. It makes their franchise look cheap, okay? I mean, here you are. You got the most.
It looks like an XFL team.
Yeah, you got the most expensive stadium in the world. You've got a storied franchise that's known for its helmet, and you're just going to run away from that with just this thing that looks like, it was just designed by I don't know, Doug and Susie Tompkins and Esprit. It's like, hey, it's like, what is that thing? That's not it doesn't read football. It reads like you're designing something for an Oscar party. Maybe that's the point. Maybe the LAs are going all Hollywood. I mean, it doesn't look like football. It looks like some entertainment conglomerate thing. It doesn't look like the Rams. It doesn't look like anything that would have the merchandise on it that I would want to buy. Are you going to buy a hat that looks like that? Are you going to buy a shirt that looks like that? Is that logo going to cause merchandise to roll out the door? Is that going to make people click on it to buy it online? I say no, and again, no. Why they did that, and I hope this is a trial balloon float, I don't know. If it wasn't, oh, brother. So, Willie Wayne says Rams logo is a joke. Trade Carr to the Bears, says Michael Airline. What else? New Age says, laugh out loud, my bad eyes saw trade Carr for beers to win with Derek Carr as quarterback. No, it isn't. No, it's not. Because the Raiders don't focus on building a team around Derek. Period. My name, Kana says, A is moving to, you guys aren't moving to Fremont. The Colt 45 show says, what do you think? That's the silliest thing in the world. If you say the A's are moving to Fremont, I'm going to ban you from this channel, man. A's aren't going anywhere. The Colt 45 show says, what do you think? I'm not going to ban you, but I'm just saying. The Colt 45 show says, what do you think of the Bears? The Bears? The Bears signed Teddy Bridgewater. The Bears, I think, great for him. Lane Justice says, what pick do the Raiders have this year? I mean, what picks, plural, do the Raiders have in the NFL draft in terms of picks? All right.
12, 19, plural. But after that, I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, basically, I'll tell you right here. They have a round 1 pick 12, round 1 pick 19. So they have 2 picks in the first round. They can bring those and move up. Round 3 pick 80, round 3 pick 81, round 3 pick 91, round 4 pick 121, round 5 pick 159. So basically, in all, they've got 7 picks, but they're weighted toward the first round and the third round, and then 4 and 5, and then that's it. I'm thinking, part of me is thinking that what Mike Mayock might want to do is trade down and pick up some players along the way, because that's just 7 picks, and you'd like to come out of that with 9 picks, 10 picks. Okay, so watch for him to possibly do that. That's just by logic. All right. And what here? My name cometh says something that I don't know. Billy Taylor says, "Yeah, we got all that one." Eric Reed, how you doing, Eric Reed? Quote 45 show says when the A's move to what new ballpark, will they tear down the Coliseum? Maybe. Dave Compton says, "Hazy, tell me how you doing in these critical times. Hang in there. God loves you." Yes, God loves me, and I'm doing great. My mom is fantastic. Lane Justice says, "Gotcha. I'd go after a hay bear if he was still on the table." Yeah, ditto, easily, absolutely, absolutely, totally. And Hennessy, how you doing? Hennessy says, "If that's the case, yeah, absolutely." Billy Taylor says, "Philip Rivers to the Colts." Ugh. Lane Justice says, "Or trade up and get Chase Young or Tua." Chase Young, I'm not sold on Chase Young. I know there are people who are. I'm not one of them. That guy, I hope I'm wrong, like Nick Bosa was. So, but on the other hand, I'm not gonna set on that. I saw a couple of games where I wasn't, too jazzed about his play. And maybe, I hate to say this, maybe he was taken a little bit off knowing that he needed to save himself for the pros. I don't know. I just have to honestly, candidly say, or maybe it was because he was being, well, the whole point is I need to study him from a different angle. So in Lane Justice says that, my name Kuma says Andy Dalton to the Colts. Andy Dalton to the Colts. What is wrong with? I mean, I'm not getting what's wrong with Mr. Pritchard. I mean, I'm not. That's baffling. Pritchard, Jacoby Pritchard. I don't get. I like Jacoby. He's led them to some great wins. The poor play of the Colts defense is not his fault. Okay. Let's see here. Anyone else getting frozen buffering? Yep. If you are, restart. There's a little bit of a delay anyway. Are you getting frozen buffering, Joseph, or how are you watching it?
Yeah, I was buffering, and then I think sometimes that's what was affecting my feed of hearing you too.
What?
But I don't think it should have. But
how are you watching this? Are you on a laptop or a phone?
I'm on my phone.
Ah, okay. Hey, if you're on your phone, folks, I recommend, if you're getting buffering, you restart and then close some windows to make sure that you don't have anything competing for RAM. All right. So the Black Atheist says the coronavirus is going to get worse. I hope not. New Eight says, and I feel like I'll never catch up because his side stories are so long. Thank you. Well, actually, no. If you think of it the reverse. If my side stories are long, you'll catch up. Just, and I'll get to some place that you want to hear. But thank you. I'm glad my side stories are long. That's funny. Billy Taylor says, we'll exit. Come back to see if it helps. Cool. Lane Justin says, everybody having a good time. Billy Taylor says, working now. Osmond Dias 714. How you doing? Cam Newton to Bears. What? Is that? No. Is that a guess or did that actually happen? Hold on a second. Cam Newton. Cam Newton. Cam Newton news makes it clear he wants to. There's nothing. There's no report that Cam Newton's been signed by the Bears. The Bears. There's nothing to that. Let's see here. Giants have agreed to terms with linebacker Blake Martinez. Marcus Mariota is still. He's like the number 3 trend, just right above China virus. So. Oh my goodness. I don't see anything any news about Cam. All right. Let's see here. Willie Wayne says, I like the side stories. Thank you, Willie. Appreciate it. And what do I think about Amari Cooper resigning with the Cowboys? Great move for a fantastic player with quick feet. Billy Taylor says, I have the 1+7 Pro with 12 gigabytes of RAM, lightning fast connection over 100 MPS. Okay, cool. Osmond Diaz says, Raiders should sign live long and prosper in your world. Thank you, Joseph, for pitching in.
I appreciate it.
All right, man.
Could I suggest something again?
No, I'm just kidding. Of course you can. Go ahead.
Praise?
Yeah, go ahead. What's up? Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. What's up? Yeah.
No, prayer. What about a prayer to sign us off?
Sure. Holy Lord, in this time of certainty, please remind everyone that we have each other. Please remind everyone that we're indebted to each other. We must be our best to each other. And that we must be our most compassionate to each other. In Jesus Christ's name I pray. Amen. There you go.
Amen.
All right.
Great. Beautiful.
All right, everybody. Good night. See you tomorrow.
Good night.
All right. Wait a minute. Whoops. I did it the wrong way. Ended the stream.